Hi, it's Lori Neverman from Common Sense Home, and today I'm going to be making some homemade stevia extract. Now, stevia leaves are extremely sweet, depending on the particular plant. Some people say anywhere between 1,000 to 10,000 times as sweet as sugar, and they're not too fussy to grow. The only tricky part is getting them to germinate, and then once they go, they are frost sensitive, so I've actually moved mine inside for the winter. They'll grow out in my garden just fine here in Wisconsin during the summertime, but once frost comes, that's it. So I have a small pot in the basement, and I clipped it back when I brought it inside, and here are the leaves that I salvage. Now, to help concentrate your extract, it is helpful to pick your leaves, rinse them off if they need it, and then actually put them in your fridge for a couple of days. Dry them off and keep them in your fridge for a couple of days. That will have them wilt down and they'll give off some of that excess moisture, which will help concentrate your extract. So I've done that, and I have my semi-wilted stevia leaves, and now I'm going to dice these up and stick them in a jar and cover them with vodka. So here we go. I started slicing these already. It doesn't really have to be fancy. You just want to expose more surface area so the leaves can give up their sweetness into the extract. And the interesting thing about stevia leaves is not only are they sweet, but the aroma is really unique. I've grown a lot of different plants over the years, and they are one of the most fragrant, almost perfumey herbs that I've ever grown. And this is just nice. We have it chopped pretty well, and then I'm going to bring it in and put that in a jar. And you only need a jar as big as the amount of leaves you have, so I could have probably put this in a half pint, but I had a pint handy in the kitchen, so that's what I'm using. And shake those down in there, and then we simply cover this with vodka. And some people like to use stronger booze for their extracts. The trick with that is if you use something that is a higher proof, there is a chance that it will draw out more of the bitter compounds, which is great if you're doing something medicinal, but something like the stevia where you're doing it just for taste, you do not want those bitter compounds in your sweet extract. So this gets labeled. You can see I've got top just a simple masking tape label with the date, when it started, and then in 2 days I'm going to come back and I'm going to strain this out. So we have just enough vodka to cover our leaves. And this is going to make a small batch of extract, but remember, it's really concentrated, so a little goes a long way. And that's it. Cover and wait. So here we are a couple days later, and our stevia has been steeping. So I'm going to take that out of the mason jar and put it through, this is a jelly strainer. I'm going to get that dumped in there and let that strain out. And it's okay to squeeze this, because unlike when you're doing a jelly, there's no pectin here in your leaves. That's going to make your jelly unclear. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to take that right off of there and squeeze out every last bit I can get of that stevia extract. Oh yeah, wash your hands before this. I think that, yeah, just in case. It's alcohol based, but still always a good practice before you go into the kitchen, right? So I've got almost 8 ounces here. After I squeeze that out, grab that out, see if I can get a little bit more. And then I'm going to take this over to the stove, and we're going to cook that down and concentrate it a little bit. And if you sniff this, it does smell a little bit sweet, but it also smells very boozy because of course you're steeping that in vodka. So we're going to slide over to the stove and cook it down. And as it cooks, some particulates will come out, and so we're going to need it to do a final straining before we bottle it, and then it'll be ready to use. Pan is on stove. I do have it on my smallest burner, which is why it's hiding way back here in the corner of the stove. And I also put the simmer mat on because I'm working on another thing over in the other corner of the kitchen and I don't want it to burn. So make sure you cook it on low heat and simmer it for 20 to 30 minutes, maybe even a little bit less if you've got a small batch like this one. But you want to reduce it by roughly about half, and it's going to get darker in color and you're going to drive off some of that alcohol to concentrate your extract. Now our stevia extract has cooked down, and it is a little bit cloudy, so I'm going to filter this. I have a coffee filter and a funnel here, and I'm going to pour that in and allow that to filter through the coffee filter. And this is going to take a little while to drain through, but you can see it's coming out the bottom here. And I probably need to lift my filter up. Make sure that last little bit gets out of there. And when this is done, you can store it right in your mason jar, or if you have a tincture bottle with a dropper top, so much the better, because then it's a little easier to use. But if you just have a mason jar, that's fine too. You can just take your spoon and take a little bit out as you need it. And that is all there is to this. You want to store this cool, dry conditions. It is alcohol based, so it will keep some. If you want it to last a little bit longer, you can store it in your refrigerator, but that's not absolutely necessary for short-term use. And if you prefer to make a water-based extract, you can make that basically like tea, but that one really should be stored in the refrigerator. There's instructions for that on the site with more details. And that's about it. There's your homemade stevia extract that you can make for pennies on the dollar compared to the commercial extracts. The flavor isn't quite the same, of course, but it will certainly sweeten your drinks and other recipes, just like the fancy commercial stuff. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.